Mariners. Mariners Podcast. Vintown Mariners Podcast.
I like the crazy stuff, yeah.
Well, I like the hard numbers.
Enjoyable for everybody.
It's very exciting.
Very unique. To me, it was the best thing ever.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Vintown Mariners Podcast. I'm Vintown. This is the podcast. Good to be back. It's been a while because I said the last time I won't do a podcast until the Mariners make a move, and the Mariners didn't make a move for quite a long time. Season ended in last week of September. Here we are in January 15th, and they've made some moves. They finally made some moves. Not what everyone wants, not the most exciting moves, but I would argue quality moves. I'm just going to say quality moves. We'll start with Donovan Solano. Donovan Solano is 37 years old, $3.5 million deal. Donovan Solano, I was not familiar with your work. Donovan Solano, a lot better hitter than I think of. I think of Donovan Solano as like when you're playing like DraftKings or FanDuel and you just need a cheap salary to fit in their last spot. And then you go with a guy like Donovan Solano. That's what I think of. But pretty good hitter. I think 5 out of the last 6 years he's had above 100 WRC plus. Much better hitter than, let's say, Ty France last year. Heard Ryan Davis say that, and that hit close to home. That hurt a little bit. But Donovan Solano, he's probably going to be like the first base half or the against lefties half of a first place platoon with Luke Raley. And that's a fine role for him. He can play third. He can play second. His splits, left-right splits aren't that bad, but better against lefties. I'm totally fine with that. He's a serviceable backup. He's not a great defender. He's 37 years old. Probably not going to become a great defender this year. But anything can happen when Perry Hill's around. But, it's a good signing. It's a signing that's driving everyone insane because, like, all offseason and this is all you do. Like, all the worst grifters out there just have been priming everyone to get furious over whatever the Mariners did all offseason. And now it's here and people are furious. You can't, when the team comes out and says, we're not signing Alex Bregman, we're not going in the deep end of the free agency pool. You can't get mad at them for not going in the deep end of the free agency pool. You can hate that mindset. Feel free. You can hate the ownership for having tight purse strings. You can hate all that. But like they told you what they're going to do, and so you got to hope for the best moves they were going to do. That was my last podcast. I said my 2 moves were Ha-Seong Kim and Brendan Donovan. Neither of those are sexy moves. And the moves I'm going to cover today are like those moves, but even less sexy, even more poor, even poor man's. Brendan Donovan, I talked about him a bunch before, or a little bit before. I think he's a great fit, but it sounds like the Cardinals want to keep him. The Cardinals want to try and extend him, so that's not happening. You can't make people trade, and you can't make people sign here. Ha-Seong Kim had the choice to play here, to play in LA, and he chose LA. That's it. He took less money than was offered to him by the Angels to play for the Dodgers. Why? Because they're going to win. They're going to be competitive. That's a big part of it. And also, it's the Dodgers. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. You can't compete with that. The Dodgers, the Yankees, they are the main characters. I think the Dodgers are the main character of baseball because of Mookie, because of actually winning World Series, and obviously because of Ohtani. But, like, that's the main character of baseball. And, when the main character looks at you, that's where you go. So, we missed out on Ha-Seong Kim. Okay. Here's Donovan Solano, 37 years old. Probably just going to be a 1-year deal. Hopefully he hits as good as he hit last year. And that's it. But he should hit better than Ty France did last year. huge. Hit better than Haniger, Garver, huge. And decent splits, a lot of contact, a lot of on base. Actually, I don't even know on base, but just a lot of contact. And that's something the team needs. They need guys who get hits, get on base, and then they have guys who hit home runs already. Randy, Julio, Cal, just get on base in front of him. He's probably batting like 7th or 8th in the lineup. It's not a big deal. He's not like the biggest, most important guy. A good move. I think he'll help the team. That's all you want. A guy who helps the team. A guy that's not, 2024 Ty France. And that's all you can really ask for here. A more minor move, Miles Mastrobuoni or Miles Mangione, because Mastrobuoni is hard to say, and certain people want to have fun with that name, and that's not the kind of guy I am. I don't like to have fun with someone's name, so I was calling Miles Mangione. Not fun at all. Look, this is a guy. He's like a 26th man on the roster. Okay. If you were hoping for Leo Rivas, you might get this guy instead. Or Leo Rivas will take a slot, and this guy will get DFA'd. Maybe he'll go to Tacoma, maybe not. He, in the minors, not last year, but in the previous years, the minors, he's shown good contact, good on base percentage, and he can play all over. Not really great at everything, but he can play everywhere, which, that's what we were looking for when I was talking about positional flexibility, versatility, guys who can move around. You're not like locked into this lineup. You're not locked into this poor defense. Like, you're locked into an average defense now. Because, like, no matter what, like at third base, your floor is probably going to be Shenton, and then after that, Solano, and then Miles, and then Dylan Moore at the top, unless they make another move. I think they will. We'll get to that. But yeah, here's what I know about this guy. Cubs fans loved him. That might have been just because the guys they had playing third base were so bad at defense. And when he played third base, he was decent at defense. That might be the only reason why. He might be like a cool guy. He does kind of have like the ears, nothing wrong with that. But just another guy. He's probably really in this spot. Like, they hope something's here. He's a Rays system, the guy. There's a lot of crossover between the Mariners and the Rays, and like what they believe in players and what they like about players. So like they might think they could still get something out of him. He's never hit at the major leagues, but I don't think he's played even 150 games at the major leagues. Yeah, worth a flyer. This is a minimum contract guy. They probably just paid. They traded him for cash considerations, which is probably like $50,000 or something like that, whatever the minimum is. That's probably all this was. But I think Miles is really here to say to like a Ryan Bliss or Leo Rivas, like, hey, like, we want you. They want the Mariners. The Mariners want Ryan Bliss to start at second base next year. I believe they do. He doesn't have anything left to prove in AAA. He looked decent in his little time up last year, and it's put up or shut up time for him. And I'm sure that Jerry would love to prove the Seawald trade to be smart by Ryan Bliss becoming an everyday second baseman. I don't know if that's going to happen, but anyway, I think they want Bliss to start the year as a starting second baseman. But this is a guy in there to compete with him. This is a guy older, more hungry, if you will, and he's a guy that's gonna, compete. That's what they want. They want guys who can compete. So I think that's a good move. It's a meaningless move, but we probably wouldn't even be discussing it. But because of the overall lack of activity, we're discussing it. One minor move today, they made a trade for a backup catcher, Blake Hunt. He was with the organization, then he was the Oriole. Now he's back with the organization. I think it could just be catcher depth. They liked him. They had him before. Or it could be maybe they can think they can get rid of Garver, and then they might have a spot for him. I don't know. I don't have a good guess there. I think they would trade Garver. They would trade Haniger if they could. But what are you going to get? What are you really going to get? I don't know. So, yeah, that's where the team's at right now. A lot of people are so much more upset about this than maybe anything that's happened in the past, 5 years. But what I want to say is this team, it's not that bad. Even if nothing else happens, it's not that bad. I think they're going to be a 90-win team. I think they're going to compete for a playoff spot. I think they're going to actually get a playoff spot. I think they're going to compete for the AL West. Julio is going to have a great season. They have an elite rotation. They will once again have an elite bullpen this year if everyone stays healthy. But when you add returning Matt Brash, Munoz, Troy Taylor, if he continues to improve, I mean, that's elite right there. Then you'll have Santos coming back from the injury. If he can be what he was in 2023, I mean, nobody's got a bullpen like that. And that's before you get into the Logan Evans and whoever this year's reclamation project is. Okay, it's elite starting pitching, elite bullpen. And then you have the big five. Every team in baseball that made the playoffs this year had 5 good hitters. I wrote a Substack last week. I'll link it in the description. But it was just covering some things that I didn't think were worth a podcast. But yeah, one of the things I said was all of the teams that made the playoffs last year had 5 good hitters, and that's it. You look at the Yankees. They had Soto, they had Judge. You want to say Austin Wells. You want to say Giancarlo. And then they had traded for Jazz Chisholm. But the bottom half of their lineup, terrible. The Guardians, they probably had 3 or 4. They did not have an elite team. The Royals had Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez and one other guy that had a positive WRC plus. And it's that's what these offenses look like. So the Mariners can beat those teams in pitching. And I think that they have the good 5 hitters. Robles, I don't know, actually hold off on Robles. Julio is going to improve. I think he's going to be in top 3 of the MVP, if not win it. Cal Raleigh continue to be great. Luke Raley should have another great season. Who's the Randy Rosarina, of course. Randy Rosarina had a weird year last year, but I think he's going to be good. Because if you look at his year, he came into spring training with a new swing, had an awful April, May, came to Seattle, had a rough start because he took the trade really hard. He was FaceTiming his old teammates. The Rays came to Seattle. He was going to visit them. He was not in the right mindset for a lot of that for his early days with Seattle. But then he started to figure out, he started to hit. He looked like the old Randy. I think he'll look like the old Randy this year as well. And then number 5, we'll say Robles / JP Crawford. Because either Robles is going to return to earth or JP Crawford is going to return close to what he was in 2023. I would love for both of them to be good, but as long as the two of them combine for let's say a 105 WRC plus, as long as together they're a positive hitter, or one of them's a really good again, or whatever, that's 5. That's your 5. Okay. And then you have Dylan Moore in the platoon. Whatever happens, whenever he plays, it's good things. He's great against lefties. He should not play against righties. So what is that going to be? Is that going to be him and Ryan Bliss at second base? And then Ryan Bliss is kind of has to take the brunt of the bad stuff. But then maybe he's like a 95 WRC plus, 90 WRC plus guy or whatever. And then Dylan Moore comes in and he's good. He's like 110 or whatever. That'd be fine. Third base is going to be a question mark. Let's just talk about that now. Third base. The Mariners, a lot of people are mad about these moves, but the Mariners aren't done. I don't believe that they're done. I still think Justin Turner's coming back. That's another positive hitter, probably mainly the DH, mainly in a timeshare type of deal. Maybe some first, whatever. Okay. Third base is still a huge question mark for this team. I think they might have a Juan Moncada move in them. Then you say Moncada. Third base is yours to lose. Second base, Ryan Bliss, you're the lead, but it's a competition. And then Solano first, Mastroboni, Rivas, whatever, you're all competing for that last spot. Austin Shenton, you're competing for that last spot. Like, I don't want to see Austin Shenton at third, but I don't think it would be like the end of the world just because of you have these decent defensive guys behind them, You got Austin Shenton, few innings. Mariners got a 3-0 lead or whatever. Boom, Miles Mastroboni, Rivas, whatever, good defender, takes over third, whatever. It's like, ultimately, it's a stopgap. But, they do still have to make those moves. Things have not gone their way. And for someone like Juan Moncada, a guy who wants to prove himself, wants to get back and show that he's worth more than whatever he signs for, 3-4 million, lower contract, prove it contract. The thing with those, and the thing with all free agents is, you have to want to go to the place and think that it's going to help you prove it. Like the Mariners, Seattle, T-Mobile Park is not the place to prove that you can still hit. I mean, I guess if you can hit there, you can hit anywhere, but is that really where you want to be? Or do you want to be like someplace like Cincinnati or Milwaukee where, Milwaukee is really easy to hit home runs to the corners. Something like that. Cincinnati is a very good homer park as well. You wouldn't want to go to Colorado, but you could also really boost your hitting numbers there, and start to look like a real player. You don't want to go to Seattle. Seattle is 29th, 30th in hitting. A lot of people blame the front office, blame the hitters, blame the owner, whatever. Like, this has been going on since the park opened. Maybe it's why Griffey left. He's like, hey, maybe I'm mad because I'm not hitting as many home runs here. I don't like it, but maybe I just want to go home, whatever. But like, it has an effect. It's had an effect. It's always had an effect. Like, it's hard to hit in this park. It is. And another thing about Seattle is it's very cold the first couple of months of the season. I mean, summer's beautiful, but the end of the season gets cold again. I mean, it's very cold. What would you, you're Roki Sasaki. Roki Sasaki is the new name that everyone's mad at because, he didn't cost anything and the Mariners still couldn't get him. That's like a really dumb logic when you think about it. Because when all teams are on an even playing field, what's the difference? Team culture, development, and quality of living. And for someone like Roki Sasaki or Haesung Kim, like, I know that Seattle has a strong, like, Asian community, but why wouldn't you want to be in LA? Why wouldn't you want to be in LA? That's where, like, there's a huge Asian community, for one. It's the biggest market. It's the most popular team. And it's, like, beautiful weather all the time. Why wouldn't you want to go there? I mean, I know I love Seattle. I know a lot of people, everyone loves Seattle. It's a great, if you've been there, if you know, you know. It's like Jennifer Lopez says about orange drink. If you know, you know. In Seattle's, if you know, you know. So, but these players, they might not know. And to be mad at the team for a player using their agency to not choose to play there, it's just stupid to me. I mean, free agency is a player's freedom of choice. It's this labor rights. So when you go against, when you're mad at a player or you're mad at a team for not signing a player, you're taking the player's agency out of that equation. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many people do this. Like, they take the player's agency out of the equation. And it's like, that's very anti-labor. It's very pro-ownership when everyone hates ownership. But then you're mad at somebody for making too much. You're mad at somebody for choosing a place that's not yours. Or you're mad that you're mad that they made a choice for themselves. For me personally, this is why I came up with the offseason plan that I did. Because the two things are, Seattle is not a free agent destination. Be that because of the way the owners act, be that because of the weather, it being farther than any other. The Mariners travel more by plane than any other team. Okay? So it's like, if you're a player, do you really want to sign up for that? Do you want to sign up to be on a plane more than I'll be on a plane with any other team? Yeah, there's good culture. Yeah, there's good player development. But if you're making a choice, 1 versus 1, I don't know if I would make that choice. I don't know if I would choose to fly that much. And then you put money in the equation. You put cost of living. You put, weather, whatever, all of it. Seattle is not a free agent destination. The way you get free agents is to overpay. But the owners have said, we don't do that. We don't go in the deep end of the free agent market. Okay, so what do? You make trades and you draft and develop well. The Mariners have been drafting and developing well. If we look back at the Randy Arozarena trade, they've been trading. They traded well recently, quite well. Okay, so why is everyone so mad that they're not signing any free agents? The free agents chose not to come here. Carlos Santana chose Cleveland over Seattle. Cleveland. Okay, like, that's what it is. So I'm not bothered by these moves because there's no trades out there. There's no trades that have been available to the Mariners. Look at all the transactions since the offseason started. Nobody is trading major league hitters for prospects right now. The few that did happen was like Jake Berger. I don't know if that would be a fit anyway. Some people wanted him. I don't think we need another first base only DH, basically. But for the Mariners' needs, there hasn't been a position player traded. The reason why is because, like I said before, you just need 5 good hitters to be in the playoffs. And everyone thinks they're a contender because you can piece together a pitching staff. We see the Brewers do it. We saw the Tigers get to the playoffs with one starter. Literally one starter. Skubal and then bullpen games. And they got to the playoffs. And, that hurt as a Mariners fan because the Mariners were actually a better team than them last year. But whatever. But teams see that and they think, that's what I need. We can do that. We're good enough. We can do that. And so they're going to go for it. They're going to go for it with what they have, the few little moves they made in the offseason. And they're going to go for it because, you know what? If you make the playoffs, you're probably keeping your job. So that's what they're all doing. They're all going for it. No one's rebuilding right now except for like the Marlins. And there's nothing that they have that we want. So what do you have to do? You put in these little stopgap measures like this, where you can use your Dylan Moores, use your Solanos, use your Leo Rivas, Miles Mastrobuoni, hopefully like a Yohan Moncada or something like that. But even him might not be a long-term solution because when it comes to be the trade deadline, teams are not going to be in that position anymore. Teams are going to realize they're not good enough, and then they'll be willing to trade major league hitters for prospects. If they're not willing to do it now, They will be then. So there's going to be a lot of anger about the Mariners' lack of moves. I don't think it's lack of trying. I think it's just it's not there. It's not been there, and they're not going to force it. And that's probably smart because the team that they have without any moves is a 85 win plus team, is a playoff contender. So that's why things are the way they are. I do think they'll be once again very active at the trade deadline. They might get a guy, but these little moves, you're not hoping for a guy who's going to change the offense completely. You're just looking for a guy who won't kill it in the way that Ty France killed it, in the way that Mitch Haniger killed it, in the way that Polanco killed it at times. You're looking for a guy who's just even. Honestly, a 95 WRC plus from second and third would be such a bonus right now because they're going to get the offense from the other spots. And so that's why I say this team is not that bad. I'm going to take a quick break. There's one more thing that I want to talk about. Okay, I figured let's try and, now we just talk about the team and everything. Let's just try and have a little fun. Decided to check out the very popular website, Reddit. And I found a post called I Hate the Mariners. Since I found it and since I decided I was going to talk about it, it's been locked. No more comments. The post has been removed by the moderators. So I can't even really find what this guy said. But he's pretty mad. The main poster, the OP, he cannot let it go. Somebody replies, I love the Mariners, one of the best young cores in baseball. Something I agree with. But the OP replies, will be wasted. I hope I'm wrong. Then the commenter says, possibly, but fortunately there's another solid young core of hitters on the way to potentially be wasted. And then the OP says, yet to be seen if they are solid, but hopefully they will be. But brother, I'm not making a judgment of this person. Well, I am a little bit, but what team do you think you watch? What team do you think you are a fan of? Because the Mariners made the playoffs in 2001. That was the year that I personally moved to Seattle. I moved back next year, but whatever. That's a different story. And I met the team, and I fell in love with the team. I met the team in person. I was a fan, whatever. I was a fan before. Never really, got to see him. And then I lived there, and I was a very big fan. Ichiro changed my whole life. But anyway, 2001, they won 116 games. Greatest regular season of all time. Really fun team. Very likable. Refused to lose. Clicking on all cylinders. And they lose in the playoffs. And then they just never make the playoffs again during that run. The next year, incredible collapse / comeback from teams below them. The next year, another failure, and then it just falls off the cliff. And then it's just down, 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 down. But we still have Ichiro, and then we have Felix. But it's just it never is good. It's never. There's a couple of years where it's we might make the playoffs, but even then, in those years where they were contending, they didn't deserve to be there. It was always luck based. And then now, finally, we have this some semi-sustained run of success. Playoff appearances, just one. But the past 4 seasons are the second best 4-season run in team history. And then it's not over yet, though. It's not like in 2001 and 2003, 2000, whatever. It's not about to fall off a cliff. It's actually continuing to grow because, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, they might get better. George Kirby might get better. The bullpen is going to get better. And it's just this is a time. This is the time to be excited. But this like desire for free agency has poisoned people's brain, and it makes me sad. It does honestly make me sad for them because the team should love them back, love us back, and that's not necessarily the case. But it's still a good team. It's still a good team. Still 90 wins, and if this like it's just like expectation of things being so different when they've never been different. Like I found a quote from John Stanton from like not John Stanton, Howard Lincoln from like 2002, talking about how they don't spend on free agents. Like back then, this is the organizational philosophy, and it's just this is what we have. This is what we chose. This is who they are. It's not an impediment to winning, but it's a speed bump to winning, but it's not going to stop them if they continue on the pace that they are. I think that's my point. I meant for this to be a more fun segment. Actually, let's finish it with a more fun part of these comments, which is this guy, my GOAT, red, blue, yellow, 151. Nah, bro, it ain't that serious. I just like baseball, and this is the team I picked. What the team does is out of my control. Which is just like, exactly. But of course, the OP cannot handle someone having like a disconnection from things that they can't control. When the OP says, "Do you care about anything?" Which, I don't know. I care when they're good. I care when they're good. They're good right now. I care about the Mariners right now. I don't care that they didn't sign some guy that I didn't even want them to sign. So, yeah, that's it. That's Seattle Mariners baseball. And it's going to be a great season. I'm going to be back more often. I think I'm going to do a little predictions coming up here. I'm sure they're going to have another move for us we can talk about. And then we're eventually going to get to the season, and I can't wait. I can't wait to be done with this dumb, it's like anger that exists with people. I can't wait to be past it. Because this year, it's not going to be that bad. It's going to be pretty good. So until next time, Vintown, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
He's alright.
Well, I got him up on the wall, you know. Anybody on
Where?
He's right there.
Yeah, is Donovan deserting his fans? He's only been around for 3 months.
Well, that's what I call a loser.